Jesus, greatest, highest, I will come to thee.
We're going to briefly examine Psalm 91, which Jewish tradition says was written by Moses. Psalm 91, verse 1. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God. In Him I will trust. Most believe the secret place mentioned here refers to the temple, but it does not mean that one had to dwell there, but carries the idea that one would be a worshiper of God and would certainly worship at the temple, but would also love and respect God enough to live for Him every day just as we should today. Certainly God is our refuge and our fortress, and we should trust in Him. The writer tells us why in the next few verses. Verse 3, Surely He shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you look, and see the reward of the wicked. Notice the writer tells us that God will deliver them from the fowler, which is someone who catches birds in a trap, and from pestilence, which is a disease. Many times God is seen as protecting His people as a bird will protect its young with its feathers. A similar example can be seen about this in Matthew 23 at the very end when Jesus gives this analogy. God is certainly involved in our lives today. His truth will be your shield and buckler, which are basically the same thing. They will not have to fear the dark or the arrows that fly by during the day. All this is saying is that God will be with them day and night. So they have no need to fear the things that the world or others are going to throw their way. And the same is true for us. Even if 1,000 or 10,000 enemies come after God, they will all fall, because God will never fall, because He is in control and He has all power. He knows what the reward will be for the wicked, which is referring to the consequences of their actions. Verse number 9, Because you have made the Lord, who is my refuge, even the Most High, your dwelling place, no evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near your dwelling. The writer is emphasizing again how that God will protect and be there for those who make God their refuge. There are certainly examples of this in the Old Testament where God did not allow His people to be defeated by their enemies, nor did He allow disease to touch them. A great example of this is when Moses tried to get the Pharaoh to let his people go. The Pharaoh's people were the only ones that were affected by several of those 10 plagues that were unleashed on them. Next, the writer answers the question of how they will be protected. Verse 11, For He shall give His angels charge over you to keep you in all your ways. In their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. God's angels have been at work for God since the beginning of time. Those created beings can be seen at work in the Old Testament and the New. The writer of Hebrews says this about them, Hebrews 1 verse 14. Are they not all ministering spirits sent forth to minister for those who inherit salvation? While we don't have a lot of information about angels in the New Testament, it certainly seems that they are used in some way to carry out God's providence in our time today. Now, when I say this, I do not mean that they are going to do something miraculous, but they are working in the background using natural law. In our last verses, God is speaking. Verse 14, Because He has set His love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. God teaches us that if we want his protection, it's conditional. We must love him and know him. When we call on him, he will answer our call. Those who live for God will generally live a long life. Though God does not do some of the same things that he did under the Old Testament, such as striking down thousands of enemies in one night, this psalm can still bring us great comfort because the overall message applies to us as well. If we love God, put our trust in him, and live according to his word, he will be there for us. We can cry out to him in prayer, and he will hear it, and he will answer it according to his will. Even if we lose our life physically, we can still be confident that we will continue on for eternity in heaven. So I hope we will never stop trusting in God and in the love and protection he gives to us all.